did not.
Speaking of which, I
I
wonder if
gave them a crappy review. That was it. Look, here's you bring up Rachel. I will say this. I've also heard from people, and now they've I will put this out there, okay? Almost the entire cast of Vanderpump Rules now has had a podcast or attempted a podcast, okay?
Mhm.
A lot of them have stopped. Tom Sandoval's is now gone. I don't even know what Billie Lee's was. She was just on your show, so I was hoping you could get to the bottom of that. I think there were like 5 episodes out. We've never seen it again. I don't
Are
know
you
what.
criticizing my Billy Lee? I
I
like
love
Billy
Billie
Lee.
Lee, but I mean, that was like a heck of a launch for what? Like, I don't know what happened there. Lala's is going strong.
Very.
Kristen Doty has one that goes strong. Stassi's is obviously just did a big deal with Dear Media. Anyhow,
Mr. Taylor's doing well.
Mr.
Jackson Britt.
But I'll say this. I think it's like the Vicki thing. From what I have heard, Rachel's podcast is not going particularly well anymore. And so she's dabbling in getting back into the drama. And I think that's why you heard her mention Peter. And Peter has no love lost towards Vanderpump. We know this publicly because they would not pay him to be on last season. They wanted him to show up, film scenes for free. A billion-dollar NBC franchise. Okay. So Peter has no love loss. Neither does Rachel. She's not going to be back on. Well, I don't know. Maybe she could be back on
You know
Pump
what
Rules.
it is? Like, I know she's suing blah, 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 but she's suing Tom and Ariana, which, by the way, she could still, the contract doesn't get null and void because you can still sue someone for something criminal. She's not suing for anything civil. So you can't argue that she's not there because of the contract and you can't sue someone else. That's civil. Defamate. You can't sue someone for something. You can sue someone for something criminal still, like Heather Gay and Von Tessie. But here's my thing. I'm just asking for a friend. If this is where you are and the podcast is having a moment where it's not doing so great, unless you talk about Vanderpump Rules, if you took our fucking course and paid the goddamn money, we could have fucking told you that. We could have actually said to you, here's your game plan. Just like we would have told Vicki Gunvalson, here's your game plan. But humor me this. Why then are you not there? Why? I mean, it's too late. The ship has sailed. I understand that you thought you could have a podcast that wasn't about Vanderpump Rules. No offense to Rachel. I like her. That doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You don't have I mean, it doesn't work. I mean, to say you don't have an identity outside of the show is that's kind of harsh. But like you and I have more of a future in podcasting because we are analyzing the show. You can't have a future in podcasting just by being fabulous. There's something, I mean, we're good at our job,
Well, I mean, I
but
think
we are doing a job. That's the difference. We're not just like, I'm so fabulous. Everyone listens to me because I'm David. Believe it or not, that's not what I think. You listen to me because I fucking work.
well, I think she chose a path, right? She chose to go to some sort of mental health facility. And so she picked that lane. There's been a lot of rumors out there as to why she didn't come back. Money, was the big one. She wanted equal billing to Sandoval and Ariana. And, I have no idea why they wouldn't do that. I would think her story was as compelling, but maybe they didn't. So I think it was a multitude of things. And she ultimately wanted to step back for her mental health, I thought was kind of the answer. So maybe she did that and it just didn't pan out. And to your point, maybe the ship has sailed to come back. I don't know. Don't you think they would have her back if they're filming this fall? Don't you think there's a chance that maybe she's strategically talking because she is going to come back and now she's going to get back into the messiness on her podcast?
I think it depends. I think if it's like, where is the show going? We don't know. Yes. I think having her come back would be epic. I think if it's like, we have the next generation, we're filming, we see this as the next valley where we have 10 years, and we are truly, like the rumors say, wrapping this up. We are wrapping it up with a bow. Granted, I think you kind of already did that with the end last season. But if it's one more year, I think no. I don't think she's part of the legacy of Schwartz and Sandy and Ariana and Katie and Sheena and Lala and James. Allie can be there because, I mean, she's dating James, but I don't think she fits into the last season ever if that's where we are. You know what I mean? Like the legacy of the show. No, then I think she doesn't get a job. I think if we're like the next season, we don't know what to do and we hope to have 5 more years, sure, bring her back.
It's like we talked about with Ariana leaving and trying to be a host on The Talk, The Chew, which I think are both are canceled. It's really hard to parlay it into something else. And so while I admire that Rachel really tried or is trying with her podcast to raise mental health awareness, and I think you can sprinkle that in, but ultimately it's the same problem with Vicki, and it is the genius of Melon Ball and the Rat. People want to hear, they're rabid fans of what you were on. They want to hear behind the scenes. They want to hear about scenes that weren't revealed. They want to hear you go after people. Very much what like Lala's done, what Stassi, although I guess Stassi probably interviews and talks about.
Dusty might be like a rare exception to more
Yeah.
power to her. She's an exception. You know what I mean? She's an exception. You know, Dodie talks about it. Like you even look at like Larsa and Marcus. And I mean, that's a whole nother thing. He hates her now, but like they didn't do it. Like they didn't do it. Like that's what we want. I mean, por favor, that Marisol and Alexia. I mean, does anybody listen to that podcast? I don't even know what the fuck they talk about, but it's not housewives. And by the way, you can't even just talk about housewives. Like I can't take away from the melon ball and the rat. She's scurries, but and Teddy, like it's not, you can't just talk about housewives because it doesn't work. Like, listen, Teresa's podcast, she just had Gia on. That should be like so highly rated. It's not. Teresa's kind of fumbling the ball over there on the podcast. Like, it's just a skill, right? So, like, I'm
It
actually
is
giving
hard.
a compliment to the Nat and the Rat
Yeah, and Lala. Well, we'll have
and Lala.
a lot to talk about on tomorrow's episode because
Yeah.
obviously Jax, we're hearing about his rehab stay and how he kind of wanted to stay there. I mean, it will be interesting to see. And I would say this, if Rachel Leviss is coming back, that leak should be coming out very, very soon. If in fact she's coming back. If we're
I
not
would love
seeing a
it.
leak, I think she should do it too. I would think she's taken the time to heal. I hope her hat is in the ring to come back, her health, her revenge. But she sort of said herself, I would have to have a full-time therapist on set to come back. To me, she doesn't, she makes it sound like she's mentally not in a good place to be there, right?
These
I
people
don't
make
think that
such
way.
mistakes. Like, listen, you might think I have an ego or whatever. You negotiate. You know your worth. Yes, negotiate, negotiate, negotiate. You and I have done business deals before where we've dealt with like people, and I'm like, no, Sarah, like negotiate. But when it's about to fall apart, you say, yes, ma'am. I'll take the $2, even though I want nine. So I don't know. I get it, but I don't know where she thought that Scandival was as much about her in the Vanderpump legacy as it was about Tom. It just doesn't work that way. You know, I mean, we're not going to give, I don't know, we're not going to give Bozama St. John the same, legacy as Kyle Richards. It just doesn't work that way. So I understand it was the biggest thing in the world, but when you step back at the news cycle, everything fades. Everything fades. Erica's on the show, and guess what? Like life is great for Erica Jane on that show now. You know what I mean? We get over it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's like who gave you this advice that like you should walk away from a show if you want to be there, if you now want to be there.
Well, I don't know that she did want to be there. And I think, 6 months ago, if we play back the tape, we were saying she was playing it brilliantly. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard to predict the future. Now, where we're at, and this kind of turn of events with Rachel speaking out on these, like on Vanderpump Rules and what it would take for her to come back, and LVP and Peter Madrigal. It's now we're sort of like, did she play it right? But I mean, it's hard to you
You're right. We
you,
sung
you
her praises.
we
We
did
did.
6 months ago. We were like, oh,
Ah.
genius, and we love Juliet, her
And
PR
I do,
woman. We
I
were like,
really, listen, I like Rachel better than 98% of the people on the damn show. I like her, Lala, and Sandoval.
but it's so hard to play. And look, maybe her story is not over. Maybe it's not over. Maybe she's in talks. Maybe she comes back even for a couple of episodes. Could that spark something else? I
I
don't
would
know.
love to see it. I would love to see it. No disrespect, Rachel, but it's just to me what a shame if you're going to lean into it now. What better place to be than on the show than to talk about it on your podcast and make a dollar on the side?
Well, my message to Rachel would be don't look back. You can't, you picked a lane, play
Work
it out
hard.
and do it. If you want to come back, throw your hat in the ring. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Don't have any regrets because we all have to pick you with the advice you get at the time, you make the best call. And
True. Never look back.
no, and maybe truly for her mental health, it would not have been a good idea.
You're right.
All right.
Well, we have a show to do tomorrow.
We do.
Show.
One last thing, Eventbrite tickets, we've already sold. P.S. And Lord, he gives me the update,
We've
Dave.
sold a lot,
I know
but
we've already sold a lot for our Halloween show.
but we can sell. I try to tell everyone, hurry, because when it's sold out, yes, I always give you hell. I want another sold out show. You know what I mean? That's what I want. So come on, guys. Halloween costume.
Com. You could search David Yontef, Sarah Fraser. It's going down Tuesday, October 29th at 7 p.m. New York City time. Halloween costume prize for the best costume. You can dress as your favorite Bravo star or any costume that's creative. Ask us anything. It was so much fun the past two that we did. Oh my God, the questions have run the gamut from, of course, Juicy Teresa, feuds that were in. Obviously, I spilt tea that I had exclusive tea. We'll have more of that.
Seems to be coming true.
Told you,
She
come and get
said.
the accurate stuff because we'll have more behind the scenes scoop. All right. And also the ticket link you can find on our Instagram, in our Instagram links in our bios.
And when it's sold out, just like last time, there is truly nothing we can do. Day of, let's be honest, what happened last time? Day of, cha-ching, everyone was buying it day of. And then, oh, it's 7 o'clock, it starts, it's 4 p.m. Why can't I get a ticket? It's not working. No, it's sweetie, it's sold out. Like,
So
can I have it? I listened to you. No,